Click it. We clicked the go live button. We'll see.
I clicked it, Richard.
This is always the most awkward part because we're
Every
actually on
live
YouTube.
videos like this.
But 0 people are watching, and I watched yesterday and it said 0 people were watching, and I was on YouTube saying 0 people are watching.
You must believe.
So it's fun. Boom, 218 people all of a sudden. So we're live, I think.
It's going up.
What's up, everybody?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 222.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. How's it going? We're back for day 2. You're back for day 2. Congrats on being here for day 2. Today is going to be awesome. It's going to be hands-on. Dave is going to take you through deploying a smart contract. If you haven't done that before, you're in for a treat. And yeah, we'll create a wallet and all that good stuff. Hopefully everybody had a good time yesterday. You took some time off, let things marinate if all this is new to you. And maybe you have questions. If you have questions, maybe at the end, Dave, maybe we'll have a little bit of time. We can ask some questions from yesterday.
Yeah. We're going to make this interactive. I'm so excited. We're going to have fun, friends. I'm curious in chat, how many of you have never installed a wallet? Like, this is all new to you. I've been a little reflective lately because it was this time. It was November 2019. There was a little Dave that was like, I'm gonna install MetaMask. I'm gonna go into this world, and I was doing it all by myself. And I can tell you, if I can figure it out, any of you can figure it out. And I want, like, Richard and I are here so that all of you can shine. And so I want everybody today, nobody's allowed to say, I can't do this, right? We're going to do some hands-on and have fun. Oh, good. Yeah, there are people who've never done it. All right.
That's
so we
awesome.
Will go, yeah. And we'll go slow.
To see it.
And you can always 2x play me back later on, right? So.
Yep. Well, everybody, I'm going to leave you with Dave. Dave, good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. I'm going to move this over here. And then I am going to share the slides. All right. Boom. All righty. So we're going to work in Firefox today. And for those who don't have the slides, it's the same as yesterday. Richard, maybe if you want to copy paste that into chat so everybody can follow along. The goal here is that we equip you with everything you need, right? We all learn differently. I love listening to people talk about stuff. I'm just very auditory, and I want you to feel like you can watch a little bit of this video. If you've got to go and do something, you can come back. You can watch it at 2x. Everything that we're covering is up on our site. Actually, let me go on over there too and show you all. So if you head on over to dev.chain.link, over here on the right, you're going to see Get Certified. So ultimately, whether you've touched blockchain before or not, Richard and I, our goal is that you all get certified, that you figure out that this is not hard. I think people may have made it more complex than it needs to be. Once you grasp the basics, it's a ton of fun, and it's very empowering. I am one of those, kids that grew up. I did not have a lot. There was times, and it warms my heart just seeing everybody across the world, because I know some of you are going through this too. I didn't know what the future was there. I didn't know if I was going to eat sometimes. I was diagnosed with a medical condition, and I was like, what? I love tech. And it's been decades of that. I've been able to make a life for myself. And I've ridden through these waves, right, of internet and mobile and cloud. And this is it, folks. Blockchain for me, blockchain with AI. I want you all to feel empowered, right? Like this is about making lives better for me. So that's why we put this all together. It's not just Richard and I, by the way. If you go click on Get Certified and, there's some information, it's our team. And, shout out to the developer experts, the rest of the team. You can follow anybody you wish on this page. It's been a team effort. There's some great training out there, right? Myself, I've taken Cifrin with Patrick Collins. Like, this is just meant as something that you can go back to at any time. And our whole team is here to make you look like a superstar. So do follow us. Do feel like you can reach out at any time and you can follow along. So while we do this, you click on my courses, you come in here, and we're in the blockchain fundamentals. So if you missed day one, this is what we did on day one. So for day two, we're going to get to play a little bit. We are going to set up a wallet. We're going to install some things. And I'm laughing because there's going to be a lot of moving parts. So feel like you can follow along, but if you get lost, I'm going to be doing it as well on the screen. You can see I have no wallet installed. So I'm just going to do everything from the very beginning, and we'll take it step by step so that everybody understands. So we'll set up some wallets. We'll talk about what testnets are, and then we're going to have some fun and make our first smart contract. And I could tell you, the first time I did this, just like the first time I did a piece of code, it was on a Commodore 64. There's something empowering, very empowering about creating code and bringing that into the world. And I hope that you all get that feeling today, whether you're doing it live or you're watching this later, to just bring something forth that you've created and to see it out there. It's why I keep doing what I do. Absolutely love it. So make sure that you check this out. If you're like Dave, I've been coding forever. I just want that Chainlink certification. You can jump right down here into the exam and you can take the final exam. We want to make sure that you can learn however you want to learn. Make sense? Let me just check the chat. Awesome. Okay. Love it. So let's move along here. I'm going to do this actually, so it's a little bit better for everybody. Okay. So we're going to cover a couple of topics today. The first thing is digital wallets. And the name wallet, if you're confused by that, that confused the heck out of me at first. Like, I was like, here's a hardware wallet, right? So I was like, if I lose this thing, is everything gone? Like, what did I do to myself, right? And I want you to realize it's just a term. The wallet is your interface to the blockchain. Once you get that everything lives on chain, everything lives in that ledger, and it's just your key, your API, your doorway to interface with that ledger, I think you'll start to feel a lot better about what that thing actually is. And we're going to walk through what keys are, how you can get them. And somebody's pointing out in chat, yes. What if we already have MetaMask but forgot the password? So you're jumping ahead. I love that segue. If you forgot your password, but you remember your seed phrase, and we'll get in your seed phrase, as long as you have that memorized, you'll be able to recreate the wallet. So let's talk about this, right? Let's talk about what is a crypto wallet. Now, there's a couple of different kinds of crypto wallets that I'll jump into. And I'm going to talk, basically, they all work the same way. So I'm going to talk about how this interaction is with the chain. So you've got this blockchain out there. And by the way, it's all computers, right? I used to work for AWS, in the cloud. And the cloud is just AWS. We had computers, and you were using computers. It's all computers just sitting somewhere. So this is a blockchain somewhere. And you need to interact with that blockchain. And it's Bob and Alice again, like Richard talked about. So Bob is going to send a message. There's a hash function. There's a signature that's done. And that message goes across. Alice gets that message, and she's able to understand what that message is. The way that this works is it's the same if you've ever done any kind of cryptography. It's a key pair. There's a private key and there's a public key. The private key is everything. The private key is what makes it a unique unicorn. The public key is actually derived from the private key. The address of your wallet is derived from the public key. So everything just kind of flows from that private key. You don't want to be very careful with your private key. If there's anything you take from here today, remember, private key, don't want to give that to anybody. It's also, think of it as identification and authorization. So the public key identifies Dave. Well, in this instance, it's Bob. We should change this, Richard, to like Dave and Richard. So the public key says, yeah, that's Bob. So I can decrypt messages from Bob. But Bob's private key says, I am Bob. So the only way that people know that that's really you is that private key. And that's all any of this is, right? So it's nothing scary. The wallet is a way to interact with this key pair, whether you are using someone's public key or you're using your own private key. It's a way that you can interact with the blockchain. And there's a couple different types of wallets, right? So you may hear these terms. It's always funny. There's you think we have a lot of terms in tech, but boy, there are a lot of terms in finance. And I think that's one of the ways I was first, it was 2019 when I first started looking at this space. And it was Bitcoin at the time that I went through. And I was realizing, like, not only was I learning the tech, but I was like learning how money works, right? So you're going to see a lot of those terms around. And the way you should think of custodial wallets and non-custodial wallets is who has your private key. You're going to hear terms like, not your keys, not your coin. So you always take risk on either side. If you are somebody who's not comfortable with self-custodying and you don't trust yourself, there are options for people where they can custody for you. Just remember, there's risk there as well because a third party has control over those private keys. And remember, private key is everything. Private key is how I show I am the owner. Private keys can be stored online, right? It depends on the security mechanism. If you're doing non-custodial, so this is a hardware wallet that I showed you before here. This happens to be a Trezor. There are other wallets like Ledger. This is a device. This is what's called a cold storage wallet. And this device does not take my private keys and connect to the internet in any way. So if I'm going to send a message, take my private keys, encrypt, then all of that, when it connects to the internet, is just sending a transaction. So that is your safest. If you have a custodial wallet, or you're using what we're going to install today, MetaMask, then that has a connection to the internet. And so your keys at some point are touching the internet, and you'll hear the term hot wallet, right? So it's a hot wallet in that if people want to get access to your computer, they might be able to get access to your keys. Does that make sense? So you've got these different user experiences, you've got these different securities, but custodial and non-custodial is basically just who's holding the keys. Do you own the keys, or does someone else have access to the keys? Another term, right? And we always have these acronyms. CEX is just a centralized exchange. So that is your Binance, that is your Coinbase, that is a company who is running a server and your keys are with them. Whereas MetaMask, which we're going to install, your keys are within that on your computer. How does that work? So what you're going to get, and it depends, right? It depends on the wallet and the blockchain, but it's typically 12 or 24 words. You can check out on GitHub if you want to see how Bitcoin does this. But these are words that they're just nonsense together. Richard thinks I'm crazy, but I actually have this wallet's mnemonic phrase, the 12 words, memorized in my head. But if you think about it, right, like when you look back at history, and I know all of you, because we are a global audience, some of you have probably gone through this, where one day your government decided to seize everything you own and said, leave, right? That has happened to human beings so many times in history. And there was something about the fact that now, for the first time in history, as a human being, I could memorize 12 words and I could go anywhere at any time. and I had all of that because it's stored on the blockchain, and I have access to it through those words. Right, I'm looking at chat. Yeah, it's just incredible that this technology offers that. Now, do I recommend that? It's funny. Even my wife, I get stuff like, Dave, what happens if you have a stroke? What happens? It's like, make sure you write it down on paper. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through what it's like setting up a seed phrase. So we're going to do all this together. I'm going to show you on screen. But this is just showing you how we go ahead and we encrypt. So I want you, the first time you see this and there's 12 words and you're like, what are these 12 words like? Again, remember on chain, we're basically storing the hash. When you saw Richard do all that yesterday, that's what we're doing. So we're just taking your key and that creates a unique hash. So nothing to be scared about. It's just a way to create another unique hash, and that unique hash is based off of 12 words. Wallet security. I mentioned cold storage like this. Yeah, I'm seeing the chat now. Pressure your own memory is very risky now. I have a good memory. I'm trusting I'm not going to have a stroke. If I have a stroke, my family's probably in bigger trouble. But we do have it written down on a piece of paper in a safe. If, God forbid anything happens to me, it's still there. So hot wallet, connected to the internet. Cold wallet, this isn't connected to the internet. Types of hot wallets include mobile, desktop. I've got questions on different kinds of wallets and different kinds of chains, right? A lot of people ask me, it's funny, I don't know about all of you, anybody who's done this before, just because where we are in the nature of liquidity cycle, right now, I've basically been doing this talk with family and friends. I've explained wallets to so many people. I've set up wallets across so many chains right now. It's like when you're the tech person, you're the help desk, right? If you understand crypto, where we are in the cycle, you're that for friends and family right now. So I'll just share with you what I use personally. This isn't an endorsement of anything. I do use MetaMask for Ethereum and all of the L2s out there. I don't know, did we talk about L2? So layer 2, L2 is just another blockchain that sits on top of the Ethereum network. I use Ethereum for all of that. For obviously for other coins, Bitcoin, I have this cold storage. I use a wallet called Exodus for a bunch of other coins. Exodus actually runs on the desktop too. It runs on mobile. And then for Solana, I use a wallet called Phantom. I just love the UI on it. I think it's pretty slick. You can check all of these things out online if you're using any of those chains. I've actually been using the Sui blockchain a lot lately. I really like it. Not financial advice or anything, just from playing around with the Move language, which is beyond the scope of this today. We're going to do Solidity. But I use something called Sui Wallet with that too. So lots of stuff. Here's a lesson. Here's a tip from your Uncle Dave, right? Because I made this mistake and Richard's going to be laughing at me. We're going to create multiple wallets today. What I want you to think of is like a 3-tiered system. When you're interacting with the blockchain, I want you to assume that people want to take your coins from you. All right? That's just the world that we live in. So if you are interacting with a decentralized app, and we call those DApps, if you're interacting with something that you've never interacted with before, you're just on the internet, and it could be stuff like maybe it's an airdrop or maybe it's a NFT marketplace. It's just something you've never seen before. Have that as your hot wallet. Do not store a lot of coins in there. Okay? Just that is how you interact. That is your ID. Okay? That's how you interact with everybody in the world. Then you have something called an intermediate wallet. Okay? That could be just another hot wallet, but it's an area where you have more funds in and it's stuff you trust. Now, for me, that's things, another term throwing at you, a DEX, right? A decentralized exchange. It might be a liquidity pool where you're earning yield and things like that. But these are sites that I trust, and I know when I click approve that they're not going to send a smart contract down that does anything I trust that it wouldn't. And it's very important, because if you've never used anything like this today, I want you to understand every time you hit approve in your wallet, you're basically approving whatever comes across. And a lot of attack vectors are through that. It's something that's not on the up and up, and you clicked approve. So keep that intermediate wallet. And then what I recommend is if you've collected any coins and it's of value to you, don't keep that in any kind of hot wallet. Move it into cold storage like this. And don't touch it. Don't think about it. Just consider it a vault. It's something for your future. It's something for your family's future. You don't move it out of there. And that's how I look at it. I look at it as savings for the future. And think of those 3-tiered systems. What we're going to do today is we're going to make a hot wallet connected to the internet. Now, this is going to be a wallet, for anybody that I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to show you private keys and we'll walk through it. This is just a wallet I'm going to delete after this course, after we're done today. So don't feel like anything. And we're gonna mess around with tokens on Testnet, which is, for people, I think everybody knows monopoly money, but if you don't, it's just funny money, right? So we're going to be messing around with non-real money, although there are people who put value to Testnet tokens as well, right? Money is whatever human beings we think is value, right? So we're going to be messing with that today. So I don't want any of you to think we're going to have real money. Please do not send real money to any of your wallets that you're using today, okay? But we're basically going to use a hot wallet connected to the internet. And with that, we are going to use something called MetaMask. So if you want to follow along, you can go to MetaMask.io. Let me do this now on my screen. So everybody see MetaMask.io download. This is the official URL. Now, Richard and I, as we go through this, we wanted to, we hit you with a bunch of slides yesterday. We wanted to do this in real time and do it all with you, okay? So there's always risk when I send you to a website. Please, please type in what you see there, right? And actually, let me put it in the chat too. Okay, good. Thank you. So MetaMask.io, that is the URL that you want to go to. Just like any other site, just like if you misspell, Facebook or Twitter, there's somebody's always trying to get you. So make sure you go there. And then I'm doing Firefox. This works in multiple browsers. And I'm going to go ahead and click install. And then whichever browser you're on, if you're not on Firefox, it may not look like this. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add to Firefox. And then up here, I'm going to click add. You're going to get this like you would with any other extension. I do not recommend just installing browser extensions on whims. You definitely want to make sure it's legit. This happens to be the official one. So we want to go ahead and click add. And I'll give everybody a little sec. Let me, yep, Chrome will work. I'm seeing some messages here. Worked in Brave. Yeah, I use Brave browser as well. This brings back memories if you're spinning your first wallet. Yes, absolutely. I got it. Yeah, let me show that. When I was going through this, I was like, wow, just the first time I was doing it, it's fun. It's scary and it's fun, but everybody can do this, right? I want everybody to have some fun with this. Okay, so first things first, you get cool little fox looking around. Look at that, huh? Isn't that fun? It's already fun. So we're gonna click on I agree to MetaMask's term of usage. If we had an existing wallet, which we don't, now look at him. He's so kind. He's looking down at which button I'm gonna use, right? Let's hit create a new wallet. And the first thing that's gonna happen is you're gonna see we're gonna get hit with a bunch of information. Now, Dave's already told you a lot about this. I've told you the risk of your private keys and everything. So you can say, you know what, Dave talked to me. We're doing this together. I'm gonna click this button. Or you could say, you know what, I don't care. I don't trust MetaMask, even though Dave said MetaMask is one of the people I can trust. You can just say, no thanks, right? So it's like everything else in life, whatever you trust. So create a password. Now, this is entirely up to you what you want for a password. I'm gonna it's funny. So Patrick Collins, there's a funny thing with all this, right? And it's in my head. He just tweeted the other day. I did not know this. If you're ever streaming, and I know some of you are, like you want to teach other people, right? I'll teach you, and then you go teach other people. If you're streaming, there are people that literally listen to your clicks on your keyboard and can hear what you're putting in. So with that, I just got into the habit of like pasting in the password that I want to use. So Patrick is proud of me, but feel free to, type away. Say you understand that MetaMask cannot recover this password, okay? So everybody, whatever you put down here, please write it down right now. And I just happen to have mine written down over here in text edit. Now, once you do that, we're going to say create a new wallet. I'm going to say do not save my password, please. Now, this is the mnemonic that we talked about before. The 12 words that I happen to memorize for one of my wallets, right? So we want to do this. We want to say secure my wallet. What's great about this is if you have those 12 words, you could go anywhere in the world and you can install the wallet and recover everything. Okay, I want to say that again. These 12 words will allow you to go anywhere in the world. You can install any wallet as long as it's interacting with Ethereum here, which is what we're covering, and you can recover your wallet. What you saw up on those slides is that mnemonic is basically a way to get the private key. You can also memorize the private key, but if you can memorize hexadecimal like that, you should be a mathematics champion, because I certainly can't. So we'll go ahead and say secure my wallet. Now, there was a streamer recently too, my heart breaks out for him, who his recovery phrase got shown super quick, and right on the stream, his wallet was empty. So I am doing what I would never do if this wasn't just a wallet that we're going to throw away. That's for pure demo purposes. Say that's why you see make sure nobody's looking. This is the stuff that you want to write down. And I'll give everybody a second here. I'm going to actually create another document here so I can paste it in. Now yours is going to look all different. If you're like, why does Dave have an effort wedding castle romance and candy with raccoons and I don't? Everybody gets their own adventure. So it's completely unique here. Let's see chat. All right. I see people getting excited. All right, people. Yes. Like we're doing it. We're doing it. Never share this with anyone, right? I am doing this educational only. Okay. With this, you can actually recover this wallet, which will have nothing in it and get deleted at the end of this. But for your wallet, please, even taking a picture, by the way, I write this down by hand. You take a picture. A lot of people like have Google Photos or they have iCloud, right? It's backing up your photos and then your phrase is in your cloud and then your photos get hacked one day and they're like, oh, look, they have a wallet somewhere and they get it too. So write it down on a piece of paper is my advice, okay? So once you get that, hopefully people have had enough time with that. Now we get our first quiz, okay? So we're going to go ahead and whatever you wrote down, and this is just making sure that people did what they said and didn't clicky through. So we're going to have our wedding castle. And then we had a wedding castle romance, right? And then the portion had evidence. Hit confirm. And now we have created that wallet. Never, ever share this, okay? So we'll say, got it. We're now installed. So depending on your browser, you'll see it up here. I right click. You can pin it to the toolbar, right? Just like any other browser extension, you have the ability to do that. That's all it's telling you here is you can go ahead and pin it and we get this. Now, it's funny. I want to know. Let me go back to chat here. Did anybody as you've been watching YouTube videos, and you've always seen this up at the corner and you're like, what's that? That was me in 2019. I was like, what are all those cool little icons? How come I don't have that? I want to have fun too. Now you all can have fun. Now you can all have a little wallet up there, right? Okay. Yes, write it down. I like chat. Some of this suggestions is yes, the ability to store that somewhere. Okay. Warning, never give your private key or mnemonics away. Can't hype that in enough. You will hear about stories, especially now where we are in the cycle. You're going to hear so many stories with people who lose keys lose. Remember, if I lose, even cold storage, if I lose this, if you upgrade your PC and you wiped everything away, as long as you have that phrase, whether it's memorized on a piece of paper or whatever, you can get everything back. So rest easy. As long as you got that, you get everything back. Make a tattoo. I like that. And yeah. Yes, there we go. And everyone can be like, what's that about? It's just a story I like, right? Excellent. So we've got a wallet. Hopefully everybody can follow along now at this point. I know I've given you a little extra time for this. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel like the wallet's your on-ramp to the entire crypto universe. What is it? What does Marvel say? The Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're in the blockchain cinematic universe, right? That would be a cool name for something. But yes, we are ready to begin our journey. Now, we don't want to play with real money. We want to play with some fake money. So every blockchain out there has something called mainnet. Mainnet is the blockchain that you've all seen. Mainnet is the blockchain where you buy the tokens on. And you've probably all done that, whether it's Ethereum or Solana, Sui, Bitcoin, you name it, right? What every blockchain also does is makes a copy of mainnet. And that is where we test things. That is called testnet. What I want to tell you is when I say networks with the same characteristics as mainnet, it's the same characteristics as mainnet, meaning it can get traffic on it. Gas costs can go up. It is something where you have to be very careful of when you're coding, okay? I want you to be able to do things fast. If you're coding on a testnet and it's overloaded, and by the way, with Ethereum, with the base Ethereum layer, with Sepolia, if there's like a big hackathon going on, that stuff will, get overloaded, all right? One of the things I'm going to do today, I'm going to show you a couple different testnet. I'm going to show you Avalanche. And what I like about Avalanche is it's an L1, but it's completely compatible with Ethereum. And I, as an educator, I love to show it because it has a custom consensus mechanism in it without sacrificing decentralization, which there's a lot of times that you do pay that cost. And it's often less than a second for finality, right? With very low gas costs. And that was something that Richard hinted at yesterday is like, when we're using a testnet, if you're using the base L1 Ethereum Sepolia layer and you're trying to do things, sometimes it could take a minute for finality, depending on how big that is, right? And so we're going to do that. And one of the things I should point out to all of you too, actually, is let me go back over here. Let's see where we have. Cool. We have it right front and center. So I have a wizard on my team called Andre. And maybe I shouldn't preview, but let's just say you're all going to get to meet him. I had a long form conversation with him soon. He built an entire thing called Chainlink Local. So I want you all to be able, you can find it up here in the tools. But what Chainlink Local does is it replicates all the services we're going to show you. And it replicates a blockchain. And it replicates CCIP too, where you can do things instantly. It was fun. I was just talking to people at ETH Global, the Bangkok hackathon on Saturday. I was talking to people, and some of them were waiting like 20, 30 minutes for finality. And I was suggesting, using Chainlink Local. So this is beyond the scope of what we're going to do today. I don't want anybody to get nervous, like, whoa, Dave, that looks like a lot of coding stuff. Don't worry. I just wanted to point it out. If you're agreeing with me and you're like, yeah, testnets suck, here's something. If you haven't heard about it, we have Chainlink Local. Feel free to use it with whatever. Okay. So generally, testnet, It's for development purposes. Tokens have no financial value. That doesn't mean tokens don't require hash, right? Hash requires electricity. So it does require machine power in order to create these tokens. So the way you do this as a developer is there's something called token contract. I got ahead of myself with faucets first. So let's just set this up first, okay? The way that you need to set up your wallet now is we need to add both Ethereum, Sepolia, and some other chains. And so you can go to this chainlist.org. It's something that we have in the class. If you want to go ahead and you want to just add the official ones, I like using the official ones. Here is the link right here. If I come up here, everybody see this? Let me put this in the... I'll put the other one in there too. Okay. If we go up to our wallet, you're going to see the different networks. Why they don't call them blockchains, I don't know. But now that Dave has explained testnet and mainnet to you, you'll see Ethereum mainnet was already added. So again, if I did that too quick, we see the cool little Ethereum mainnet networks up here. I just click on that and I'll get a list of everything. Now I can hit show test networks, and these are the different test nets that are out there. Do not worry about some of these other ones. You know, there are different things that happen in Ethereum's life cycle with test nets. What we're primarily concerned about right now is the Sepolia testnet, and you can see that right here. And I can, if I click on that, everybody can see how it shifted. So I'm now at Sepolia, and I have the ability to shift back. But I want to show you what it's like to add a network and also what it's like to add a token. Shout out to our docs team. I just did a video on cross-chain tokens. So CCT, if anybody saw the CCIP 1.5 announcements, I think it might be coming out this week. But just going through the docs, what our docs team has here, I'm constantly reminded how straightforward they make all of this. So if you come here and for contracts, I'm going to actually look. Let's scroll down a bit here. And you'll see there's Sepolia, here's BNB, Polygon. All right, here's Avalanche. This is what I think is cool, right? Is if you come up here, you'll have all of these. Oh, look at that. It didn't ask for my wallet yet to connect. Okay, well, either or, you can go through when you click on it. Yeah, there we go. Let's go to the show this one. Let's go down here to connect wallet. Next, confirm. So I'm on the chainlist.org. I want everybody to click view all details just for a little bit here. You'll see here's the ID. It's RPC. So if you see that and you're like, what's RPC? Right? It's a remote procedure call. This is just the way that we're going to talk to the blockchain from our local PC. And this is the symbol for Avalanche, right? And Avalanche C chain is mainnet. So I can go ahead and click approve. I can switch networks, and you can see all of that right now. Here's my wallet address right up here. So if you're wondering where that number is coming from, everybody see it right here? It gives you some nice information about Avalanche too. And you can see now I have AVAX tokens. That's how easy it is to add a network. We want to add a testnet. So everybody click include testnets. Okay, give everybody a second. Here is the Avalanche Fuji testnet. You can scroll down or you can type in what I put. Same thing. This site's okay to trust. I'm going to say add to MetaMask. Now you see I have the Avalanche Fuji testnet. Same thing, symbol, testnet.snowsnowxyz is the block explorer. We're going to be looking at that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click approve and then switch networks. Okay, everybody's saying, somebody's saying too fast. Let me show you this again. So chainlist.org. Come over here, click the include testnets button. You should have a button here that says connect wallet. Sure, I'm getting asked if I can redo. Let me, I can't redo the connect wallet, but you're gonna have a button that says connect wallet. You should have your wallet here, connect. Then you're going to have the ability here to add to MetaMask. And you're gonna get all the information on that, okay? And this is what it's like live, folks, too. There will be people who go through and you get different errors. We want to make sure everybody's on the same page here. Question: is this class being recorded? Yes, it is. And in fact, by the way, I'm a native English speaker, as if you couldn't tell. We do have people on our team who are native Spanish, Turkish, Chinese, and Richard and I are doing the English one, but there are people who are doing this version all over the world. And you'll see some of that. You can rewatch this as many times as you want with Dave on 2X. So hopefully everybody's here now and you've added to MetaMask. And you might be saying, Dave, I have this now. It says an A. I can switch back and forth. So if I want to come down here, and you can see right now I've got Fuji testnet and I've got C-Chain, I can switch back over to Sepolia right here as well. Okay. Oh, I'm seeing it now. Okay, great. I'm seeing everybody do it. Oh, Richard's waving hi. Are you muted, Richard?
No, I'm here. Okay, so real quick, everybody. Dave, we can disconnect your wallet,
okay.
Just so we can show that again. Just because like this is like a big step, and I know it goes fast.
Yeah.
So
I do that on this page
in your wallet.
Yep.
There's going to be where's it at? It's under the 3 dots, I think, on the right hand side.
Maybe we could just click on this site.
Yeah, there you go.
Chainlist.
Disconnect all accounts.
Yep, I got it. All right. So we'll go back.
Probably even delete that chain from your wallet too, if you wanted to, just to give them the full.
Yeah, sure.
Restart. I don't know. I've never done that, but I'm sure there's a way to do it.
Oh yeah, it's right here, man.
Okay.
That I have done.
I never delete chains.
Look at that, Richard. You're learning.
Yeah.
We're all getting new experiences into the great unknown. Okay. So everybody, we went to chainlist.org. So everybody's there. Okay, cool. People are there. Chainlist.org. Then we're going to click Connect Wallet. All right. So everybody watch that. All right, getting thumbs up. And we'll get Connect with MetaMask. Account 1 is the account that we created with our wallet. And a reminder, only connect with sites you trust.
And just to add a little more context, if you've already set up a MetaMask wallet, you can have more than one account in here. That's why you're getting this option to pick which account to use.
Yep. And I'll show you how to set up a new account after this as well. So that's what we're showing, Tommy. When you're asking how we got Fuji, that's what we're showing right here. Okay. So we're going to have this. We're going to say next. Okay. Permissions. Do you want this site to do the following? It's going to see your address, your account balance, activity, and suggest transactions to approve. So now we say confirm. Everybody see that? Okay.
And then you'll know you're connected. Some people ask, like, how do I know I'm connected? Because you have that little fox with piece of your address on the page there. So underneath the search bar.
Yep. You see right here? That's my wallet address. And right here is my wallet address. Okay. People are connected now.
Cool.
Okay. So then what you want to type, you want to make sure you have include testnets. Okay. So if I don't have that checked, I won't see the testnets. We're just seeing the main nets. Okay. So I want to see that and then type in Fuji. Okay. This is the DOS one. Somebody mentioned we want Avalanche Fuji. So the chain ID is 43113. Okay. Just make sure that you clicked include testnets. If I don't, I will see that, just the DOS. But if I click this button, I will see Avalanche. Okay, cool. People are there. Next button you want to hit is add to MetaMask. And you should get a request like this. So the full name we want is Avalanche Fuji Testnet.
And just add a little flavor too here for everybody. You can manually add a testnet by typing all this information in. Chainlist lets you click a button instead of typing. And I don't know about you, Dave, but I'm lazy. And if I can click a button instead of typing all this stuff in, I'm going to click a button every time.
It's not that I'm lazy, Richard. It's that I am the world's most awful speller. I cannot get a sentence out without making a mistake. So I'd rather click a button. Although I have been known to be lazy from time to time. So chain ID, simple AVAX. Everybody, when you get to this point, just hit approve and you'll see this. Most likely you are on Sepolia, which remember is the Ethereum testnet. So what it's asking is, hey, we noticed that you just added Avalanche Fuji. Would you like to switch that network? So we say switch network. You'll know that you switched if you open it back up, and you can see right there up the top left. Okay, cool. We're getting thumbs up. Question, yes. We can also manually add. Yes, you can manually add. Okay. And you'll see it in your list. So if you come over here, you go up, you'll see it in the list. So this is how you get back to Sepolia, and this is how you see other mainnets. So it'll always be right here. And you can always tell what you're connected to in that top left. Okay, cool. Lots of thumbs up. All right, so I want to make sure everybody gets to this spot because we're going to fill your wallet with some coins. So if we look over here, let's go back over. There is something called a faucet. So in regular mainnet, crypto, blockchain world, there's a bunch of different ways we can get tokens. We can mine tokens. We could receive tokens from people. We can buy tokens. And that's how we fill our wallets. But in a test network, we need a way to go ahead and get tokens. And we might not know somebody who has a token, right? And so what we've done is we've set up, Richard and I have this faucet. So for people that are watching this video, and there's been a lot of people that have been watching this after the fact, you want to go to faucets.chain.link, and that's where you can pull tokens down. The workshop faucet that Richard and I have set up here is only going to work while we're doing this live right now. Okay. And we put that link in there. I need to add the password for folks. So I'm going to go show. We click this and then let me put the password over. Oops. Hold on. Big Mac 777. Okay, and that will get you right into. Richard, how many tokens are you thinking people need? I am thinking.
I'd just stick with the defaults. So.
Okay. So what everybody wants to do over here is we want to go down to Avalanche Fuji. Let me make sure. Let's see. Burger King Grill. Yeah. So we'll put Avalanche Fuji there. We don't have Avalanche in here, Richard.
So if we don't have any AVAX, that means somebody just drained it all again. No, we have it. It's there. On my side, it's there.
All right, let me... There we go. Okay, so everybody take the default. So what, and I know this is a little error because this is just what we set up in Vercel as just for all of you to have something. So you're not limited by what's on the regular faucet, okay? It's a little bug. So when you hit Fuji, it'll still say Sepolia. And I know that can be super confusing, especially in a boot camp like this. So if you don't see an AVAX balance up here, make sure you just hit refresh like I did. And then what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna click on the AVAX and just take the default. 0.5 should be enough for everybody to use this. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
People and also grab the link too. So check.
You want to grab the link too?
Link and AVAX. We'll explain link tomorrow.
Yeah, because you're going to need it. Yeah, for day 3. Yeah.
Set you up for success.
Yes, exactly. All righty. I am going to click send request, and then you're just going to see here I need the account address. Now, everybody should be up here for Avalanche, Fuji, Testnet. You want to make sure you click the copy address. Everybody's like, "Ooh, I'm rich." Yeah, it's just Monopoly money. We're going to input that token. So this is your address, okay? And as a shortcut, there's uniqueness in the beginning and the end. So that is why it's not showing you the full address. So the way I do this a lot of times if I'm sending real money is I'll just copy paste it into like Notepad or something like that and just verify. But you can say 0xDF7 and ABFBF, okay? So that is correct. I'm going to hit send request. Transaction initiated. And we're waiting for confirmation.
And yeah, a couple things, y'all. So first of all, yes, this is a workshop faucet. That means you can do things like you can increase the amount in those boxes down there. You don't need to, and I'd ask that you don't so that we can share with everybody. Somebody was mentioning on faucets.chain.link that there is a restriction on how to get it as well with needing to hold mainnet funds. And that's because while Davis said many times that this is monopoly money, people have decided that monopoly money is worth real money. And so we have people creating bots to drain the faucet and get this funds out of there. The purpose of this is to test with, to learn with. So that's why we're giving you this here. Because you're here, you're getting access to it a little bit easier. Some of you are saying the password doesn't work. The password should work. It is case sensitive. So capital B, capital M in Big Mac, and then 777. Make sure you don't have a space in there or something like that when you copied it as well.
Okay. And if I click up here, I should see AVAX. Now, let me check chat. Okay, someone is saying I didn't get the link, and that's correct because we haven't entered the token address for a link now.
We can do that though in the docs. Just go ahead and add it to the MetaMask. Show them how to do that.
Okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and do it right now.
I will say if the faucet is telling you that it had an error, check your wallet to see if it went through. If it didn't, just refresh and try again.
Yeah, and one of the things you can do too is that transaction that you saw on screen. I do that a lot of times where you can just check transactions and things like that. Let's go over to add the tokens. Where I have that? I have that under link contracts. Okay. So this is the URL. We're going to add link because we're all going to need link for tomorrow. Let me put this here. So for those of you, okay, good. A lot of thumbs up and a lot of I got AVAX. Doesn't it feel awesome? Like you all are sending cryptocurrency to your wallet. It's empowering, even though it's monopoly money. So if you go to that link, okay, this is where we get all of the token contracts across different chains. Okay. Let me wait for folks to get over there. Now, what's cool about this site, let's go down to, we're going to scroll down to Fuji. And I'll wait for folks to catch up. You're going to see I have a nice little button, add to wallet. Okay. So if I say you can manually enter this address, right? I'm going to say add to wallet. This is going to be the chain link. So this is the link token on Avalanche. I'm going to say add to wallet. And lo and behold, look at that. It found the 10 that we just got from the faucet. So for those of you who are like, I don't see my link, look at that. It's there. Why is it there, Dave? Well, remember, everything happens on chain. So just because your wallet wasn't showing the address, the blockchain had actually stored that transaction and knows that you have 10 link at that wallet address. So everybody, when you get to this step, I got it now. Great. Awesome. Okay.
And just one thing to remember, y'all, if you're confused, lost, you can just back this video up. You can rewind right there on YouTube. So feel free to like rewind and rewatch.
Yeah. So I still remember like this, trying to get this set up in 2019. This is something that Richard, myself, a lot of people on the team think about all the time is how do we onboard new people? Because this is a barrier for people a lot of times is getting past this because they're exposed to basically what our financial system looks like, right? Banks have routing numbers and they have account numbers, right? And so it's the same here you're seeing with the blockchain. You know, there's routing, there's transactions, there's addresses. It can be a little overwhelming in the beginning. So pat yourself on the back for setting all of this up and bring it over. So we've got the link. I'm going to click add token. Okay. Congrats. Now we're going to go up. Yep. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, no, you're good. We can also add it on Sepolia if we want, but we don't need it.
Yeah. All right. We'll wait for folks to hit there. And now you'll see your balance. And you want to make sure that you have that balance because we're going to be using that tomorrow when we start to do some more fun stuff with all of the different chain link services. Okay. And again, I'm on the Avalanche Fuji. So if you were accidentally on Sepolia, you'll notice I have no balance. Okay.
And we do need a balance on Sepolia as well. So let's show just again, so everybody can see, go back to the faucet, Dave, and go ahead and get that stuff for Sepolia.
Great idea.
Yeah. So you want to make sure two things here. The workshop faucet is a little funky. You want to check and make sure that in the top right, it says ETH balance, not AVAX balance, like what Dave sees here. And you want to make sure that your network says Ethereum Sepolia. It's always going to default back to Sepolia as that network selector, but you want to make sure it says ETH balance up there in the top right-hand corner. So you need to do the workshop faucet 2 different times. Once for Fuji, that's going to be the AVAX, and once for Ethereum Sepolia, that's going to be the ETH.
We're filling up the bags.
Your wallet address will be the same on both networks.
Yes. That was the confusing thing the first time I used this is that different chains, right, are going to have their own network addresses, but your wallet, regardless of what you're using, will always have the same address. And you always get to that by right here at the top. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click. We're going to hit ETH and link. Wait for folks to catch up. It's always hard on the first time. Then when you do the second time, you're like, I got this. I got this. Richard, how many times have you had to say wallet? And how many times have you added to a wallet?
The current count is at 5,673 times that I've said wallet, 78 times that I've said it.
So we need to make a remix. We got to make a remix wallet. All right. I'm going to send request exactly like we did before to Avalanche. And it's initiating a transaction. What's it doing, Dave? Right? This is everything that we talked about yesterday. Oh, look. This is the wonky thing that people encountered. So that looks like a Vercel error. Let me see if it still went through.
It may take a minute too.
Yeah. Again, the workshop stuff is wonky. You won't see this on the main faucet. I'm going to do it again, Richard. Yeah. Have you seen that error before?
It comes up sometimes. Try it again.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Kamal saying Vercel does Lambda. Yeah, I had Vercel on my old podcast, AWS podcast. Remember that? Interesting. Is our faucet broke, Richard? Richard is frantically messaging the faucet person. Well, at least we have the Avalanche for now. We can always do Sepolia tomorrow. Yeah, React and Next.js. Yep. I'm going to do a little refresh on the page because sometimes that works good. I love this about live, folks. None of this is scripted. Richard and our videos are like boom, boom, boom. And it looks like, everything is super smooth. This is real life. This is like what you'll get when you're going through. Every time I say get like that, I remember what I used to tell my kids when they were younger. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. This is what we get with our faucet today, Richard.
In classic fashion, hashtag works on my machine.
Okay, cool. Well, at least you know that this is a real thing, and my heart goes out to anybody seeing this right now. We're going to have to talk to the team of why the workshop faucet has that. Because it definitely...
Can you like off share the copy of this stuff from the console, the browser console, and just send it to me?
Yeah.
I'll get it across to somebody who can help out.
Okay. All right. So let's go back here. So, and also make sure that you go back on your network. So I'm back here in my wallet. Go back up here. And we're going to go up to Avalanche Fuji Testnet. Okay. All right. So hopefully, folks, check chat, see where everybody is. Okay. Worked. Oh, okay. Derek, same thing for the link on Sepolia. If for folks who did get link on Sepolia, same thing, head back over to the links token page here. And instead of Avalanche Fuji, we're going to scroll all the way up here. And you're going to see Sepolia Testnet. Okay. Yeah, good. I see people typing that. Yeah. So if you don't see your link on Sepolia, same thing we did with Fuji. Click this little button here. It's going to ask to switch. We'll say switch network, and then you would see your 10 there. And then just click add to wallet. Okay. And I am going to switch back to Avalanche here now. Okay, you are welcome. It failed twice and worked on 3. That's great. If at first it doesn't succeed, try again. Right, Douglas? Okay. So let's come over here. Now, this is fun, folks. Isn't this fun? Everybody, it's like you've got a wallet running. You've got coins. Now, when you hear me say things like everything's on chain, we can look at that chain. So we can actually go to Sepolia Etherscan IO. Okay, and let me, since I have this slide off. Let me show that. And for anyone that didn't have it, no worries. You can always pause. You can try this again. Richard and I are keeping up the workshop faucet. So don't feel like I don't want you to feel rushed or anything like that. You can go back, you can pause, Richard and I, and you can you can go ahead and play around. So it'll be available. But you can follow along with what I'm doing here on screen. Okay, so this is a blockchain explorer. And so you're going to see blocks, transactions, you can see throughput, you can see wallets, all sorts of things. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let me copy my address. I'm going to look at the wallet that we created. Okay, so all I did was type in my wallet address here. Okay, and let me do the Fuji one too. If anybody wants to do the Fuji, let me give you this. Everybody will think this is neat. Okay, put this in. Okay. Ooh, that's like blinding. Hold on, make this. There we go. All right, so Testnets notrace.io, same exact thing. So this one is Fuji, and this one, let me move them next to it, is ETH Sepolia. Okay. And you can see right here, Sepolia Testnet. I can look up my wallet on both of those. So again, to get your wallet address, you just click here, click copy. We're going to search, hit paste. There's my wallet. Now, here's the cool part. Because you sent a transaction to yourself, you will see it on chain. So as you can see right here, when I sent that half of an AVAX right up here, the chain, you can see the transaction was recorded on the chain 15 minutes ago, and the method was transfer. So we'll see all sorts of different things. Now, I'm going to get more into this in a little bit when we go ahead and create a smart contract. But I just want to emphasize that your wallet, remember, it's that window, that doorway, that API to everything that's happening on chain. And you should see your wallet address here and the transactions. And you could do, of course, the same thing on Sepolia ETH if you want to look. Just look up your wallet address and you'll see it there. Let me look at chat. Yay, I see a transaction in Fuji. Awesome. Yeah, it's such a great feeling when you see it. So this is when it clicked for me, by the way, when I was first starting out in the space of like, oh, it's this giant ledger in cyberspace, and my wallet is just showing me things in that ledger. It's not actually my wallet, right? It's getting over the concept that like that data lives like the data would live on your iPhone. It's in this open ledger. Okay. And let me check chat. Okay, very helpful. Thanks. Awesome. I love it. I love the energy, folks. This stuff can feel empowering. Wait until you all make a smart contract. All right. What we're going to do now is, everybody feeling brave? Type in the chat if you're ready to actually send tokens now. Who's ready to send some tokens? I want to see some excitement here. I'm gonna do it on screen, and folks can follow along too. But I am ready to actually create a new account and send some stuff. All right, we're ready. Okay, ready. Oh, okay, awesome. All right, much love, folks, much love. So what we're gonna do here, and this, by the way, is the same thing. If you've already created, I don't recommend the Bootcamp wallet you used as your main, account. So maybe you've set up MetaMask on the same PC that you want to do real transactions on. What you can do is, where you see account 1 set up here, you can click that, and you'll see your balance. You can see I've got half in the AVAX here. Everybody's following along. Okay. Yeah, smash the like button, guys. Like and subscribe. Did we say like and subscribe, Richard? I'm not a YouTuber pro. I'm a podcaster, so I always say listen and subscribe. But yeah, like and subscribe. Add an account. We're going to click add an account. All right, everybody has that. And then say add a new account. You can call this whatever you want. I'm just going to say account 2. I recommend, like what I do, by the way, in my real wallet is I name it the services I use. So if it's like, an application that I use, I'll name it the application name. If it's a liquidity pool, I'll name it that, right? If it's something that tracks different things, I'll use that. You can name it like Chainlink, if it's Chainlink dev account or anything like that. Okay. So we'll hit create. And now you will see, after you create it, if you click right back up here at the top next to the little drop down, we can see our first account, which our half of AVAX is, and our second account. Everybody see that? Just make sure everybody's on this same step. And it's like I see former Dave. The first time I did this, I was like, why isn't there a new seed phrase, right? I know some of you are probably asking that, right? So the private key isn't changing. What I'm doing is I'm getting another account address. And remember that account address is derived from the public key. Yes, everyone's saying yes. Okay, awesome energy. So we have these two accounts. This second account, we want to receive some of that AVAX, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to copy on the clipboard. And what I do, I'm just going to show you the tips. You can do this however you like, but I always do something like this. So I'll move it over and I'll paste it in. And I literally do this. Like I just did this the other day. So I'll just say destination, right? So here's my destination account. This is where I want to send it. So I'm going to copy that full thing, right? It's the same thing. I'm going to switch to account 1. So when you come up there in the top, everybody go ahead and switch over. And you're going to see this big shiny send button. I'm going to click send button. And then this is where we wrote down that address. Remember, it ends in 1F. Now, the nice thing is MetaMask is actually aware that that address is our second account. So if you copy pasted the account name right, you will see that right there. Yeah, just look at chat. Okay, getting thumbs up. When you close the window, it does it. Okay, so we're gonna send 0.01. Or you could send any amount really. I'm gonna send 3 cents. 3 is a cool number. And everybody should see that. So we're gonna send account 1 to account 2. There's our balance. Hit continue. And you can see it's gonna charge us estimated fee of 2 cents. Hit confirm. And it will send that. Once we go over to our account 2, we will see that. Now see how it was confirmed here on the blockchain? And if we go up here, we can see account 2. And if I go in here, we'll see account. And so look at that. 3 cents was across. We can come back up into account 1. And you'll see our balance was reduced. So congratulations, everyone. If you've made it here, you've actually sent a transaction across. Wait for folks to catch up. And I want to show you, once everybody's finished the transaction there, if you finish the transaction and you see it in your new wallet, again, you'll see both wallets up here. Let me know. Okay, great. Excellent. Everybody says it. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually look at that transaction on chain. So in your account 1 wallet, if you look under tokens, we're going to go ahead and click. All right, I'm seeing folks excited. Awesome. All right, so if I click here on tokens, AVAX, and I want to see what happened, you can see we had a confirmation. We sent it to account 2. This is what everything is. Now, gas. Okay, we're going to get into gas now as we build a smart contract. Everything costs a token, right? And those tokens are called gas. Gways just happen to be a fraction of 1 ETH. Okay, but remember, anytime we write to a blockchain, it's going to cost gas. It's free to read from it, right? Just like it's, think of it like you're reading a book versus you need a pen to write in a book. Okay, so you can see there's been some gas that was paid there. What you want to do in your wallet, and again, if you're following along, you're like, how did Dave get here? I'm in account 1, tokens, AVAX. I clicked on the send, and now click on view in Block Explorer. And you will see the transaction. Now, these are my 2 wallets we created. This is basically account 1, and this is basically account 2. So I'm going to come over here to account 2, and everybody can see that we sent the amount 3 minutes ago, and it was a transfer. All right, and that is what a blockchain explorer is. And we have the ability to look in our wallet, and basically what the wallet is doing is it's just reading from the blockchain, right? And it's putting everything up there. Same exact thing. So nothing scary here. It's just a big ledger in the cloud. Congratulations, y'all. You actually set up a wallet. You set up 2 accounts. You used a faucet, and you transferred tokens from one account to the next account. I know for some of you, this is the first time you're seeing this. If you have used this before and you've seen it and it's old hat, don't worry about it. You can listen. This is being recorded. You can 2x this back at any time. You can jump ahead. You can take the cert exam wherever you want. Richard and I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody is getting this full experience. All right, let me look at chat. Okay, great. Folks are coming. Oh, I like it. All right. Look at all the blue. Look at the blue on my forehead, Richard. Look at that. It's like very, very blue. It's like the blue light back there. It's blue chain link. All right. So we made actually a lot of progress. We're at like almost where we stopped yesterday, maybe like within 10 minutes of it. And now we're going to do a little code. And I don't want anybody to get scared. When we do this code, you don't have to be a developer for this. And in fact, I think it's really good to understand what's happening because I'll give you an example. Let me show you an example here. Now that we're used to these blockchain explorers, here's a little treat. Okay, if you look up here on Snowtrace, this is the address of the actual Chainlink token itself on Avalanche. And if you know just a little bit of code, just a little bit of Solidity, when you are actually interacting with tokens, you can come over here into contract. And because this has been verified, here is the link token. And we're going to write something like this. We're going to write something very basic. We're going to write a smart contract. But I want to show you that all of this is just sitting up there on the blockchain. So you can see the link token became active on Avalanche on December 2020, back in COVID times, right? And you can see the version, the compiler version. So this is the version of the Solidity language it's using. We could even read from the contract itself. So we have the ability to, query, run all of the stuff. Remember, running things on the blockchain for reading, you don't have to spend any gas. So I'm literally interacting with the link token on the Fuji testnet. So I want to show you that all of that is what a smart contract is, right? It's what Richard said. It's a program that's sitting up there on the chain, and you can run all of these different functions. It has state, and it's what allows us to be able to interact as human beings, right? It is not paper promises. It's not, I'm going to go ahead and do this because I promised. It's actual contracts. It's actual math stored up here on the blockchain. So who is ready to dive into a little bit of code? Let's see where everybody is. Okay, cool. Got it. Thanks. Oh wow, I love it. First time in my life I'm getting that warms my heart. I know when I did this, I was so alone and I had errors, and now I get to share it with all of you. I love learning. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now with the remaining time is I'm going to go over building a smart contract in a language that is called Solidity. I want you to understand that not all blockchains have to use Solidity. Ethereum happens to support Solidity, but there are other blockchains that support different languages. So for example, when I do coding for smart contracts on Solana, I'm using a language called Rust, which I have in the past. There's also a language called Move, which I talked about before on Sui that I'm playing around with. And I believe Solana is actually going to be looking at Sui too. Solidity, as someone who educates people, Solidity is a wonderful tool the first time when you're learning a language. It's very similar to JavaScript. It's a lot simpler to understand, especially if you're looking at things for the first time and you want to understand what a contract is, what a function is. It's a great language to learn on. What we're going to be using today is we're going to be using something called the Remix IDE. And let me actually put this in chat for everyone. Okay. Now, what the Remix IDE is, it's a browser it's a browser in the cloud. It's an IDE in the cloud. I was thinking of Cloud9, which I actually worked on at AWS. But it is an IDE, so an integrated development environment for building inside your browser. And because it's in a browser, it enables us to do a lot of things for learning. For example, you can click on things right from documentation. Let me share another documentation with everybody too. Let's go here. If you've never seen this language and you're super curious and you want to learn some more, if you go to docs.soliditylang.org, you'll see that stuff as well. Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Okay. So we're going to pause for a second and talk about the faucet. If everybody who had problems with the faucet checks your wallet right now, I think you'll see that you have funds.
Oh, wow. Let's go look.
So if you go and look at Sepolia.
Santa Claus came early.
Yeah. Did you actually go through?
Yeah, I got the link.
Okay, cool. So, fun fact. Just a little bit of education for everybody. When we talked about, and sorry for the digression into what's going on, but like I don't want to leave this like loop open, like what happened with Sepolia in anybody's brain.
I agree.
So we talked about, you might want to take StreamYard off the stream. We talked about what blockchains were yesterday. You remember blockchain is a chain of blocks, and a blockchain is made up of blocks, and blocks have things like transactions in them, right? On Sepolia, there can be 50 transactions per block. Now, if you look at how many people are watching this, when we were doing that, there was about 500 people. And we are not the only ones using Sepolia.
We crushed
and
the test.
Each of these transactions to get tokens is a transaction, right? So if all 500 of us did it at once and we were the only people doing anything on Sepolia, it would take 10 blocks. And blocks come through at a fairly slow pace on Sepolia. Yeah, we maxed out the blockchain during this. So just like a little bit of learning there, what happened and why things were crazy. But you should have Sepolia now. If you don't, maybe slowly try again. But yeah, so that's kind of what happened. And yeah, it's basically we DDoSed, we denial of service, we like overwhelmed it. We didn't break it though, right? Like that's the thing. Our front end for the workshop faucet is kind of just like a hacked, thrown together little thing, just to make life easy for us. It didn't make life easy in this example because there's so many of you, which is a good problem to have. So I've been talking to the front end team, and we're going to be making it a bit more robust and fault tolerant. But yeah, if you need to like missed a part, want to double check, still don't have Sepolia, again, you can back this up. But I think that most people, I just checked my wallet, it wasn't working for me, and I just got 3 transactions came through because I was trying to get the error to reproduce. So yeah, we should be good. We should be good.
Yeah.
But I think
you see how powerful you all are. Together, we took down the network.
we didn't take it down.
We
slowed
it.
We didn't take it down.
We
didn't take it down.
Yes.
Literally, what happened is we pulled like the entitled thing of like people who have Amazon, you know, and you can go on Amazon, you can order it today, and then there's one of those products on Amazon that's like it'll be here in a week, and you're like, a week? That's forever. And like I remember as a kid, it'd be like allow 6 to 8 weeks for delivery, you know. And now we're like, if it's not here in 6 to 8 hours, I'm pitching a fit. So basically, that's what we did. We overwhelmed it. Yeah, and there's I think 758 transactions in the last 6 minutes on that thing. So
wow,
you know,
awesome.
It took a second.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's nice.
So we're good.
There's so many people learning right now. This is great. Little
This is fantastic. Yeah. Anyways, I'll let y'all get back to it. Back to Solidity. Sorry, I just want to pop in and let everybody know we should be good. And once you did this today, we should be good for the rest of this. So, back to you, Dave.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I love the energy people see in this. So you're all wallet masters now. You can all teach this. So let's talk a little bit about Remix. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a smart contract. The smart contract is going to be in this Solidity language. And like any other programming language, it's going to have functions, it's going to have properties, it's going to have arguments. I'm going to walk you through all of that. We develop a contract inside this Remix IDE, has a .sol extension for Solidity. It is a compiled language, it's strongly typed. And this runs off something, you may see this when you see people talk online, they talk about the EVM, right? That is the Ethereum virtual machine. And so if you've done things, I used to, years ago, gosh, I was a Java programmer, and then I was at Microsoft as a .NET programmer, and I was teaching people about, how .NET was compiled, and it was going through this virtual machine, and it had garbage collection, and it had all of that. So if you've ever done any of that, it will seem familiar. So we take these contracts, we write them, they get compiled. There is bytecode that is read, and there is something called the ABI. Okay, now the ABI you don't really have to worry about for everything. Oops, let me get this one off the screen. But it's an application binary interface. If there's any cloud developers that are watching this and you've used YAML or any other kind of JSON, metadata for describing things, that's basically what an ABI does. When we were on the Blockchain Explorer and you could actually see functions and things, the ABI is explaining what that contract is capable of. The bytecode is what sits on the Ethereum blockchain. And so there's really 3 things we're going to do here is we're going to develop, we're going to compile, and we're going to deploy. Now, inside the IDE, before I hop over, I want to kind of explain things here, and you'll see this if you're over on remix.ethereum.org. There is the File Explorer, and this is all of the different files. This is where smart contracts will appear. This is inside of a workspace. Default_workspace is probably what you all see if this is the first time you're there. You can create your own workspace. It's entirely up to you. Then you're going to see a compiler. This is the cool little S symbol that you see here on the left bar. And then we have deploy and run transactions. So after you compile your source code, we need to go ahead and deploy that out onto the blockchain. And that is something that we're going to do. So I'm putting some code up on the screen. This is, I'm gonna explain what this code does for you, and you should be able to copy and paste this in, or you can type it in, whatever is easiest for you. But I want to walk through what each of these things are. So what you can see at the top is we basically have an open source license, and then we have the keyword pragma. Okay, so pragma is basically telling the Solidity language that we're going to send it a specific argument. And in this case, we're sending it an argument that the Solidity compiler, and that's where you see that key named Solidity, is going to be 0.8.19. Now, when I talked about the docs before, let me go ahead and find that. Remember I talked about how one of the neat things, especially as you're learning for Remix, is the ability to just jump in because it's a browser. And so if you're in the documentation, here's a structure of a contract, and you can see here is pragma, and it's talking about, you know, how you can set pragma, how you can set versions. You can see we can say above 0.4 or below 0.9. In the sample that I have right here on the screen, I'm giving it an exact. We can also put a plus here if we want to say, you know, it's 8.19 or higher. But when you're playing around with this later, maybe you're watching a video, if you go to documentation, you can click this button, open in Remix, and you will see exactly what was in the docs right here. And this is how I learned, by the way, was going through documentation. We do the same thing with our chain link documentation. It's very easy because you don't have to worry about having, you'll see in a lot of my videos, I use something called Visual Studio Code, but you don't have to worry about this as you're learning here. You have the ability to just kind of like click right through. So we're telling the compiler to do Solidity version 0.8.19, and then we have a contract. So contract, you can see here is a keyword, and it is a curly brace language. So we're opening and closing. So what we're saying here, use version 8.19 of the compiler, and I want to create a contract that I call register. What we're going to do here is we're going to have a little bit of info, and we're going to be able to read that info and write that info. So you can see here, we have a string, which is a type. Most languages have types. They can have strings, they can have booleans, they can have integers and floating points. It's just a type of structure to store data. And this is what you would consider a state variable. So I have info is my variable, and I'm making it private. So remember, this was something for me as I was going through and writing code. So I've written code in the cloud. I've written it, you know, client server. I've written it on mobile. The thing you want to keep in your head is this is on a ledger. So this is getting written to the blockchain. So if you don't make it private, it's available and viewable to everyone because it's a public blockchain. So that's something to keep in mind, is when I'm writing these things, they exist out there. So by putting private keyword, no one can access that info but my smart contract. And then in the language, we have things called functions. And I'm going to go ahead and create a function called getInfo. And then you'll see a couple of arguments that you can see here. Public, obviously, is the exact opposite of private. So everyone can read this. When you saw me read the name of the link token on the Fuji network, that was a public variable. So everyone will be able to read info. Now, view means it's read only. I'm not going to ever write to the blockchain. And remember, everyone can read. It doesn't cost any gas. It'll actually cost gas to write it. And the way I've always imagined that is I have a book. I can freely read the book, but I have to go find a pen if I want to write in that book and change anything. And we're going to return something on getInfo. So we're returning this string, and memory is a type of storage too. We're basically saying by using memory, we're basically saying we're not writing this to the blockchain in any way. It's just existing in memory. So we're going to return info. And then set info, very similar. We're going to go ahead and get an underscore info. And by the way, this is how people code in Solidity. This is kind of the if you're like me and you switch through a lot of languages and you want to know what the preference is for arguments being passed in versus variable names, it's usually an underscore. for arguments being passed in. And this is a public function that people can call. So anybody can call this function, and they can go ahead and set info, and then that info gets stored here in the contract, because you can see string private info. So what does that mean? That means once we push this out on the blockchain, everybody can access it, and everybody can overwrite what that info will be. All right, let me go ahead and check chat here, see how we're doing. Awesome. Great to hear. For sure. Everybody's all right. Everybody's caught up. So let's go right over. I picture half the class is waiting for Dave, and the other half of the class is like boom and like building smart contracts and all. So all I did here was I went up and I made create a blank workspace. If you're like, Dave, there's a whole bunch of stuff here in my smart contract already, don't worry. You get a whole bunch of stuff by default. That's totally fine. It won't break anything. We're going to say create a new file. I'm going to call this register. And let me zoom in here. We're going to go ahead and bring over I've seen this before where it's got problems with my copy paste. So I'm just going to type it in. Okay. And I'm going to type this in. You get a little bit of IntelliSense just so you can follow along. Now, one of the things you may be noticing is it's building something as I'm typing. So if we go over to that S that I pointed out in the slide before, I have something turned on called auto compile. So auto compile will actually show me a little green checkbox as I'm going along. If you're like me as you're doing these things, I make so many mistakes, even with something like GitHub Copilot. I like to know that whatever I'm doing as I go along is actually working. So I do auto compile. And then you'll also see off this S under compiler, this is where all the versions are. So you're going to want to go ahead and do 0.8.19. And if you're on a newer one, it's fun. All right, let me check chat, link for the lazy. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Okay, so we're typing along. Let's go back to file. Okay, then what do we want here? So then we want a string, and you can even rename these things whatever you want. Okay, and then we're going to do our setters and getters here. So remember, I'm making a public view. So this means I'm just reading from the blockchain. And this is going to return a string. Make sense? Okay, cool. Everybody's following along. Now we need the ability to set that info. Okay. And we're going to take a parameter in of info. This is going to be a public function, so we can all call it. And then we need to set the info to info. Hopefully it made a lot more sense as we went through too. Oh, I told you I make, this is what I was talking about when Richard was like, you're just lazy. I'm like, no, I just type bad. Everybody see that? There we go. Okay. Now, let me check out chat. Here was a really cool thing. First time I was going through this, I was like, what's this like gas in my IDE? It's kind of like if you have the GitHub plugin in VS Code and you can see the developer, like the last time they checked in on that branch, you can see that. So it doesn't know yet because we haven't deployed anything. Sometimes these estimations can be a bit off. But remember, just reading, we're going to spend no gas. And writing, we are going to spend gas. And I'll wait for folks to get up. Oh, cool! I love this. This is people correcting. Yep, I told you I typed bad. The chat is seeing it now because, yep, we're all good. We're all good, folks, on line 7. Okay, everybody's here. Oh, there's a question. What is _info? So _info when we go ahead and we set the info state variable that you see up here, it gets passed in as an underscore. So you can see here, info equals info. Now, info, when we run this, once I deploy it and we interact with the contract, is just a string. So you could store whatever you like on here. You could put motivational things, right? Like you're the best. You could put a number, right? You could put ABC, whatever you'd like. It is just a parameter that's being sent in. So this is just an attribute here, okay? So when everybody's here and compiled, now remember I have 0.8.19 and I had auto compile on, and it's okay. If you hit compile again, it's fine. Everybody see it does a little swirly and then I get the nice green checkbox. If we go over to the little Ethereum symbol here with the run button, I'll wait for folks to catch up. You're going to get a bunch of different environments here. So this is your local environment, and you'll see it gives you a bunch of ether here just to play around with. This isn't going to hit testnet or anything like that, but this is just a way you can deploy. So if I click the button deploy, you'll see it actually deployed. And if I come down here and I say, chat, you are the best, and I hit this little arrow here after we ran, but you can see that. I can set the info, and you can see that ran, and I can get the info. And the info is a string, chat, you are the best. You can put whatever you'd like in there, but we're just storing that, okay? And that's just to show you that the contract worked and that our code is all working. But what we want to do now is we want to deploy. Okay, so I'm going to show you the steps here as we go through. I'll wait for folks to catch up. Oh, question. That's a great question here. Is the gas fee the same no matter what the size is? So gas is entirely dependent on the network. So if you've ever used Ethereum or Bitcoin or any network before, you'll know that gas varies, and gas is dependent on, yes, the amount that you're writing, but also the amount of traffic on the network. So great question there. Something to be aware of. And yes, you can store any string, but it's publicly available. Okay. So if you look at the slide here, what we're going to do next is, hey, we've done a lot here, right? It's been an hour and 42 minutes. You've all been introduced to wallets. You've set up wallets. You set up 2 accounts in wallets. You've drained from a faucet. You've sent from one wallet to the next. You got a little bit of overview of Solidity. You're now in an IDE. We've got this compiled smart contract. Why don't we actually deploy it out to testnet? And so it's going to cost gas. It's actually going to cost coins. And these skills, these basic skills, folks, as you continue through the rest of this training, are going to serve you so well. As we start to show you more and more advanced topics, if you're going for the Chainlink certification as well, above the blockchain, this is how you're going to be getting smart contracts compiled, deployed, and out onto the blockchain. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our wallet, and I want to make sure everybody, I'll pause here right now, everybody is in that first account they made. Remember, I have 2 accounts. So I have this AVAX account here with 0.498 at that time, and that's account 1. So I want to make sure I have that, and I want to make sure I'm on the Avalanche Fuji testnet. Everybody should see that. Okay, cool. Saeed, you're the best. Thank you for always, for folks that don't know, Saeed, there's sometimes I go to answer a question online and Saeed's already answered it. He's one of our developer experts and just really good person. So thank you, Saeed. So you can see here, I've got this selected. So what we need to do is let's go back over into Remix. I'm going to click, make sure you're on the same button I was, deploy and run transactions. And everybody see this environment up here? So I am going to say injected provider MetaMask. And so what this means is I am now going to use the wallet, that window, that doorway API into an actual blockchain. And in this case, it is the Avalanche test network called Fuji. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And you should get this button popping up. Now, if you're not on Avalanche, this is where it will check and make sure it switches you. And you can see account 1, make sure it's your first account you created. Everybody should have like around 0.5 and the .0001. Wait for folks. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to hit confirm. Now, you'll know that everything is connected and you're looking good if you see that balance there. So I connected my first account, and you can see it is the 0.498 because we sent a little bit of AVAX before. Okay, everybody sees that. All right, making sure that this is all clear down here. There's one other thing I want to explain. I think that's important for you to know is depending on the network you're deploying to, because I've gotten questions about this online from folks. Depending on which blockchain, most blockchains that are like L2s, you'll typically look for a specific version. So if we go down here under compiler, now we don't have to worry about this with Avalanche because Avalanche supports London and up. But if I click advanced configurations, you'll see at language, this is the EVM version. So this is that Ethereum virtual machine that I was talking about. If we click this, this is when you see all the cool kids talking about different code names online that happen to be different cities around the world. You can see here, London, Paris, Shanghai, Cancun. Avalanche actually supports London and up. All right, but you could do Paris as well for an L2. Just to show you, I'm going to actually change it to Paris. And we'll click this, back over to deploy. That is where you change your EVM version. When you're reading the documentation on different blockchains, they will tell you that. They'll say, I support, whatever language they support. I support Solidity version 0.18 and up. I support EVM version London and up. So you'll have those things. That's where you put your settings in here inside Remix. If you're doing something like VS Code, typically you're going to be setting those things in frameworks, something called Hard Hat, Foundry, which are both beyond the scope of this introduction. But I want to show you that you have the ability to work with all sorts of different chains here. Let me just check the chat. Oh, wow, Petersburg is hometown. Nice. Awesome. All right, so I am going to go ahead and click deploy. And this is where I want you, every time you use wallets now moving forward, I want you to say, Dave told me to always check here when it comes up. This is giving permission to something. And if I've got a lot of funds inside this wallet, I'm giving permission to do things. So you always want to be careful of what's happening here. Thankfully, it's telling us I'm deploying a contract. So everybody can see right up here, I'm deploying a contract. Who's deploying a contract? It's Remix. And I can see it is Remix. No one injected anything here. I can see what it's estimating the fee to be and what the max fee, this is that gas again. So it's going to cost about 36 cents of our Monopoly money to go ahead and deploy this. So I'm going to say confirm. And what you'll see, very similar to when we ran locally, you'll see down here, I have a deployed contract. And if I hit this little down arrow, I get that contract address. So wouldn't it be neat to just verify that? I'm going to go ahead and click copy. I'm going to come back up to here. Same thing, Snow Trace. This is the same URL we used before, Testnet Snow Trace. I'm going to go ahead and paste. Here is that contract. Now remember, everything out on the blockchain has an address. And you can see right here, that wallet, so remember FBF, yours is going to be different. So the from over here is going to be, when we come right up here, this contract. So everybody see right here? So what it's saying is, at this block, here's a transaction hash, my wallet created a contract. You can see new contract, and that is the contract address right up here. And it charged this fee, and that was 42 seconds ago. So you can see all of this is actually happening out on the blockchain. If I click contract, look at what's up there. Everybody see this? Now, this isn't the same on every blockchain, but this is what I like about the Fuji Explorer is it actually does a little bit of analysis of common smart contracts. So because I've deployed register.sol before, it actually knows what that is. So you can see here's the code, and you can see we used compiler version 0.18, and it was created right now. I can actually read from the contract right here. It's because remember our function was public. So if I do a query, you can see we got a string, and nothing's been set yet, right? If we do a write contract, we would have the ability to set that here. But I want to show you in Remix. So if we come back over to Remix, wrong Remix. That, by the way, that's something I should point out. I actually got this tip from Richard when I was learning. This little thing right here, if you want to pin, when you are starting to work with multiple contracts and multiple blockchains, you can drive yourself crazy. So I usually I'll pin one that I want to work on. So you can see I have the ability to do that here. And whenever I go back to this workspace, it'll be pinned. So let's set the info. I'm going to set it. You are doing this, friends. Now, because I am writing to the blockchain, remember reading is free. Writing is going to cost a little gas. I got that pen. Got to go ahead and write. You can see this is going to cost me about 4 cents. So I am going to go ahead and write to that contract. And now it's been finalized. Everybody see the green check block? It was finalized at block 36743565. So let's go ahead and get that info. You are doing this, friends. Everybody see that? But because this exists out on the blockchain, you'll be able to come right back, read your contract, query it, and look at that. We are doing this, friends. So let me look at chat, see how everybody's making out. That is the very basics of writing and reading from a smart contract, creating a smart contract, moving things from one wallet address to the other. I love it. Did you notice, Richard, the chat died down because everybody's heads down in Remix? I can almost hear the clickety, clickety, click, clickety, click. There's code being built right now. All right. Want to show you something else that's pretty cool in Remix? While I wait for folks to catch up. Awesome. I'm seeing people that are really liking this. Okay, great. One of the other neat things you can do, remember the ABI I was talking about, the interface? Well, I can actually build that because I have the source code. So I can look and interact with things on the blockchain if they're public, right? Like you just saw me do this. And everyone's like, how does it do that, Dave? I'm always like that. I'm like, how does that work? Right? How does it work? Why does it let me do that? It's using the ABI. So what we're going to do is, if I come over and I get my contract address, yours is going to be different. Here's my contract I deployed. In Remix, I can put that in and click at address. All right. And you'll notice down here, there is a contract, and it's the same one, but now I can interact with it here without it having been something that I actually deployed myself, because I have that ABI, because I have the source code up here. So it's another little trick you can do in Remix. one of the things I've done is I always store the addresses of contracts that I need moving forward. So if I ever like somehow lose my workspace, my project, I'm able to go ahead and just interact with things here. So that is deploying and compiling a contract. And we have interacted. So remember, 2 types: read doesn't cost gas, write costs gas. You're writing with that pen. It's actually going to cost something to do it. And so I'll catch up now. Congratulations, y'all. If you've reached this point, even if you've followed along, you've watched. I mean, Richard, yesterday I was seeing things on Twitter. There were people who had never touched this before. So yesterday you're learning the basics of blockchain. Today you're learning how to interact with the blockchain. You're setting up a wallet. You're setting up multiple accounts. You're getting tokens. You're sending tokens. You're writing a little code. You're compiling a smart contract, and you're deploying a smart contract, and you're interacting with that smart contract. Remember, every great journey begins with the first step. And if you've done this, I went through this same exact thing. Richard went through this same exact thing. Getting exposed to the language and the tools and how all of this works. Our hope from the bottom of our heart is that this makes you feel empowered. This industry, I can tell you, I have sat through watching client server, desktop, and then internets and intranets, right? Watching that rise, watching the .com rise, watching mobile, watching stuff move to the cloud. Watching this industry, everything is going to move on chain. You know, one of the things we talk about at Chainlink is something called RWA, and you're going to hear more about this, but real world assets, right? Moving things from the analog world to the digital world, making sure that everybody gets access, right? I talked a little bit about this in the beginning of the class. You know, those of you who have suffered through inflation, those of you who have had things happen to your currency, or who pay incredible fees to move wealth back and forth to family overseas. Like, this really does democratize. If you have an internet connection and you have the drive, Richard and I saw this during our hackathons. We had a Block Magic hackathon. Just the people from all around the world, you're part of that now, and you've taken that step. So I super appreciate all of you. Oh, awesome! There's so many. You guys are amazing. Look at all the chat. Richard, why don't you come back on camera too?
What's up? There's a couple comments, questions that I just want to address real quick. Can you go back, Dave, to the code? Somebody's asking, if smart contracts are immutable, how can we change things?
Oh, yeah, I can explain that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that was the thing that Richard, you actually alluded to yesterday. So when you create a contract, there's a couple of different things. And this is more of an advanced topic, but if anybody wants to go to, it's Open Zeppelin. And Richard, if you wanted to share the URL, but Open Zeppelin has a wizard, and you'll see this in our other videos that you can create. It allows you to work with different types of smart contracts. So one of the really amazing things about the Ethereum Foundation is you can think of it like standards board, and a lot of the foundations, Solana does this too, but they create a spec. And so a token is something called an ERC20 spec. An NFT is an ERC721. Link happens to be an ERC677, which is based off ERC20. But there's types there that allow you to own things. There's stuff where you can make them updatable. Go ahead.
So no, sorry. I'm also going to piggyback off somebody who said their head hurts because it's like full. We've covered a lot. I think we're going way too in the deep end. I think just focusing on this very simple contract that we have here, right? It's immutable. That means it can't change. And that's correct in that this contract is deployed to the blockchain, and this contract, what is deployed, can't change. Now, where this gets like weird to think about and a little bit brain breaking is this contract is deployed saying that the string info can change. So that can't change, but string info can change, right? Does that make sense? I'm saying change a whole bunch, but like what you deploy is set in stone. But that piece that's set in stone says this piece is malleable. It can be changed. Hopefully that kind of clarifies what it means by like when we
They're
have
asking
immutable
about
and mutable. And then someone else is asking, when we write to the blockchain, does it overwrite what was there previously, right? So if I call set info and I say info is Richard is great, and then Dave comes in and he calls set info and he's like, Dave is great. Does that mean that Richard is great is no longer there? Yes and no, right? We have that ledger, so we have a record showing what happened, but the current state would be Dave is great. But you have a record showing that it used to say Richard is great. Just kind of answering those two questions, because I think those are really important, really fundamental questions to understand, and they're great questions.
Yeah, I agree, and that is something to point out too, folks. When you hear the FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt about blockchains, it's like where people like do illicit activities and all that. I'm like, the last thing you want is an open ledger. Everything you've ever done since that take Bitcoin, for example, everything that's ever happened on Bitcoin, for the past 16 years, you can see. The history never goes away. So everything I've ever done, you would see, you can actually trace it back. You can trace it back to the owner, the wallet. It's an open ledger. You can, when your wallet's out there, people can see what you've moved in and out of your wallet. They can see amounts, they can see tokens. So it is something to be, to bring up. And also, what Richard was talking about, I thought you meant modifying the smart contract.
Yeah.
Or not. They were talking about data.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So simple version, you can change the string info, right? To people, somebody asked about upgrading contracts. So you can actually say, and I like the analogy of like, it's written in stone, right? You can actually say this chunk of the stone is malleable, right? So that's how you can have a contract that's upgradable. Immutable, probably the best way to think about it is not that things can't change, but that history is always available, right? To Dave's point of like, everything you've done is available on chain. So you can always see the history, and you can't change history, right? You can write it such that you can change it in the future, but you can't change what you've done. Hopefully that explains things a little bit. Because I know it's a weird concept to say, well, things can't change except for the things that you say can change, but you can't change that. And I'm just like, I say change like 5 times and I don't even know where I am anymore.
Say wallet again, just to make it even, Richard.
Wallet. I was saying it on mute, so I'm up to like 7,000 now.
It is so much, folks. And this is why we try to go at a nice pace. We try to show and then have you follow along. We have everything available. Like all of these slides are online. The video, you'll be able to rewatch as many times as you want. The content in our certification training, you'll be able to want. And, all of this possible. I also want to thank Avalanche for making this, not only having fast consensus so we could do this on the testnet, but it is for our sponsors that make it possible for us. We have Space and Time, Folks Finance, Cryptum from Chainlink Build too. It's great community to see all this together. Sure. Everybody just has the same mission. We want the more people that are in the space, the more we can all build, and we're making a better world. So I super appreciate you all of it. We still have over 360 people here to the end actually coding smart. That's pretty awesome.
There are some questions about like how we can see history. I want to get to those in a second. So if you want to stick around and see that, Dave, I want to show them something real quick. But I will say, so tomorrow we have one more class. We're going to have Space and Time come in and talk about like an actual project using all this technology and what they're doing. They're really awesome. That's going to be an awesome little session. And we'll also do some more interaction with the blockchain. We'll talk a little bit more about the certification, get you all set up there. Just to plug one more time too, the Discord groups, because I will forget to say them. And I don't know, Dave, you might forget too, because I'm so excited that people were deploying stuff. But we have the type form for getting a like smaller study group for Discord for the certification as well. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add right now, Dave, but if we could just go to Remix real quick and do a transaction there, add something to it like, congrats on finishing day 2 as the string or something like that. Yeah, it's right there. You're good. Okay, so this is going to be actually on Fuji. We're going to make a transaction. We're going to update this string.
2 cents. I'm going to give you my 2 cents, Richard.
Oh, dang. That's a good dad joke right there.
I'm getting better.
Joke.
It's hard keeping up with you, sir.
Oof. I didn't give any dad jokes yesterday. I feel kind of bad. Y'all missed out. I'm sorry.
There we go. It's all set. Yep.
There it goes. Congrats on finishing day 2. Cool. So now, if we go to, somebody's asking, how do we see what's happened? Like, how do we see this ledger thing? If we go to Snowtrace, like Snowtrace is a way to see the ledger, right? So if we click on transactions, we can actually see here what happened, right? So the bottom line down here, that's going to be when we created the contract. It says like in the to thing, if you go, sorry, I'm going too fast.
For you. I'm sorry. I'm excited. I like looking at it.
So the bottom line there, we see that's contract creation. So that's like a log of like, hey, we actually deployed this code. That's where you can see like everything that happened there. In the contract, it's verified. Up where it says transactions, you have the little green check mark. You can see the code for the contract there. So everything is transparent and on chain. Then you can see that Dave called set info twice. And so Dave, if you pick one of those two transactions, yeah, you can see who called it. So that's Dave's wallet, the from. The to is the contract that was deployed. So that's where this code is stored, right? And then if we scroll down and see more, you can see that the function that was called was set info with a string, and it's all garbly goop right now. But if you do view input as, I think you can change that to text, UTF-8. So this is what was actually stored, right? Congrats on finishing day 2. So all this information is stored in a way that like anybody, like Dave, if you put this link in the chat, like anybody can go and check this out and mess with it. So that's pretty cool, right? Like this is how it works. So somebody's asking like, how do we see the ledger? This is the ledger. Like this is how you see all the transactions, all the information. You don't have to use Snowtrace. Snowtrace is just a really nice place to do it. It's a nice front end that lets you peek into the blockchain.
I could give the slide for tomorrow, what you'll have, Richard.
Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to talk about tokenized assets, different types of blockchains, and oracles and what those are. Hint, Chainlink is an oracle. But yeah.
Awesome. Thanks all. I appreciate you.
Y'all are
Remember
awesome.
what you built here today. Looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow.
Yeah, same bat time, same bat channel. Catch y'all later.
But the dad joke, you finished it up?